In your science notebook, yesterday you were to do vocabulary, so you should have written mixtures and solutions vocabulary, page 43 and 44 in your notebook from yesterday. Today you need to write mixtures and solutions engage, page 45. So yesterday your vocabulary words were written or typed in Google Classroom. And you should have written in your table of contents, and you should have written them on page 43 and 44. So you should have written mixtures and solutions vocabulary on page 43 and written your vocabulary words. You should have also written mixtures and solutions vocabulary and on page 44. If you needed more room on page 44, because some of you write big, some of you write small, if you needed more room, then you use page 44. If you did not need more room, then you leave it blank except for the title and the page number wherever you're keeping up with the page numbers. That was yesterday. Now today we're doing a mixtures and solutions in Engage lab. It should already be written in your table of contents. This is the page that you need to glue down. It has 5 questions on it. 3, 4, 5. You need to write down your page number, page 45, wherever you're keeping up with your page numbers. And at the top, you need to write Mixtures and Solutions Engage Lab. This does not have a title on it, so you need to add a title on it. And you will answer these questions as we go through the lab today. We're going to do a science experiment today. I have 100 milliliters of water, 100 milliliters of oil, some food coloring, and an empty water bottle. So first, we're going to take 100 milliliters of water and pour it into this bottle. All right, now we're going to take 100 milliliters of cooking oil and pour it into the bottle. Hopefully I don't make a mess. You can do this experiment at home if you have the supplies, but Miss Bridges did not have enough supplies to send home with everybody. All right, so you should have your lab notebook in front of you, open to page 45. And the first question that it asks you is, do the oil and water form a mixture? So is that oil and water right there a mixture? You're either going to tell me, yes, the oil and water is a mixture, or no, the oil and water is not a mixture. You also have to provide evidence for your answer. So yes, it is a mixture because, and provide evidence, or no, it is not a mixture because, and again, provide evidence. You might want to pause the video to do that. Now I'm going to drop some food coloring, some drops of food coloring into the water bottle. And we're going to observe what happens. So the second question says, what happened at first when you dropped the food coloring at the top of the oil? So when I first drop this in, you need to pause the video and make some observations as to what happens. 1, 2, 3. So what is happening right now? Pause the video and make some observations. We're going to continue to watch the food coloring for a few minutes. What do you see just happened? It didn't happen at first, but it is happening now. So you need to answer question 3. After time, what happened to the balls of food coloring? Pause the video and answer the question, what happened after time to the balls of food coloring? Now I'm going to put the lid on the bottle and I'm going to shake it up. So question 4 should have been answered. What happened when the food coloring fell into the water? Is the food coloring and water a mixture? And then after you shook up the food coloring, the oil, and the water, they seemed to mix together. How did that change over time? So we're going to see how this is going to change over time. Questions 1 through 4, questions 1 through 4 should be answered right now. But we're gonna sit and watch and see what happens to this food coloring, this water, and this oil. So you should have seen a difference over time after we shook the bottle and now. So you need to answer question 5. How did that change over time? What did you notice? So when we first poured the oil and water into the bottle together, there was a mixture. The oil was floating on top of the water, but there was a mixture because they were joined together and they would separate easily. When we dropped the food coloring in, it made tiny little balls that sat on the top of the oil. After time, those tiny little balls slowly sank down through the oil and then into the water. When the balls of food coloring fell into the water, the food coloring ball kind of exploded, so to speak, and it mixed or dissolved into the water. And the food coloring and the water did form a mixture. It formed a special type of mixture called a solution because that food coloring completely dissolved inside the water. So the reason that the food coloring sank down through the oil and down into the water is because the food coloring is more dense than the water and the oil in the water. When we shook it up, everything seemed to just mix together, and even the oil seemed to mix and dissolve into the water. But that didn't actually happen because over time it separated again. You can see the oil on top and the water with the food coloring solution at the bottom. So they separated because the oil is less dense than the water. So the oil rises to the top and the water sinks down below. Make sure that you have answered questions 1 through 5 on page 45 of your science notebook. Now that today's lab is over, I do want to set you up for tomorrow's lab. So you're going to turn back to the table of contents. You're going to write mixtures, ... page 46, separations, ... page 47. So mixtures 46, separations 47. Then you're going to turn to page 46 and 47. On page 46, you'll need to find the one that says mixtures and glue it down. Make sure you write page 46 on it. On page 47, you need to find the one that says separations. Make sure you glue it down and write page 47 on it. These are the labs that you will do tomorrow. You will use the provided materials. The directions are on page 46 and 47. You're going to do 46 first. You'll be mixing some things together. You'll be mixing gravel with water, powder with water, and salt with water after you fill in the chart. You'll write down your observations after you mix it with 50 milliliters of water. You'll use your graduated cylinder to do that. Then you will take those cups with the gravel and water, the powder and water, and the salt and water, 3 separate cups, and you will pour the gravel and water over the screen, the powder and water over the screen, the salt and water over the screen to see if it separates. Then you will pour the gravel and water over a filter paper and the funnel, the powder and water over the filter paper and funnel, and the salt and water over the filter paper and funnel to see if they separate. The directions are up here. There is a video that shows the answers for mixtures and solutions if you are struggling to complete the lab.